Research confirms that chronic bullying, especially when it begins at critical developmental windows like age 5, is not just a social hurdle, it is a form of toxic stress that can physically reshape the brain. When a child is repeatedly bullied, their brain is forced to prioritize survival over development. This can lead to structural changes that make mood regulation significantly more difficult in adulthood. 1. The bullied brain, key structural changes. Chronic stress from bullying can cause certain areas of the brain to be smaller, atrophied, or overactive compared to peers who are not bullied. Prefrontal cortex, the brake system. This area is responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and calming the emotional centers of the brain. Chronic stress can thin this cortex, meaning the brakes on a person's emotions are weaker. This leads to impulsivity and difficulty snapping out of a bad mood. Amygdala, the alarm system. Often, bullied children develop an enlarged or hyperreactive amygdala. This part of the brain detects threats. If it is constantly on fire during childhood, it becomes hypersensitive. As an adult, the person may feel on edge or perceive neutral social cues as threatening. Hippocampus, memory and learning. High levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, can actually be toxic to the hippocampus, which handles memory. Stunting here can lead to intrusive memories of the bullying and difficulty processing new, positive information. The putamen and caudate. Recent studies, like the Imagen project, have found structural differences in these areas in bullied teens, which are linked to increased levels of generalized anxiety. 2. Dysregulation of the stress response, HPA axis. Your body handles stress through the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal, HPA, axis. In a healthy brain, once a threat passes, the HPA axis shuts down. In a child bullied from age 5, this system can become broken in one of two ways. 1. Hyperreactivity. The system never shuts off, keeping the person in a state of chronic high anxiety and physical inflammation. 2. Hyporeactivity. Blunted response. After years of being flooded with stress, the body essentially gives up, leading to abnormally low cortisol levels. This is often associated with the numbness, exhaustion, and detachment seen in chronic depression. 3. Epigenetic scars. Perhaps the most profound finding is that bullying can leave traces on the DNA itself, a process called methylation. The SERT gene. Research suggests bullying can change the expression of the gene that regulates serotonin, the feel-good chemical. This doesn't change the DNA code, but it changes the volume knob of the gene. If the serotonin transporter is suppressed, the person becomes biologically more vulnerable to depression and mood swings, regardless of their current environment. 4. Behavioral consequences in adulthood. Because the brain's mood regulation architecture was compromised during its peak growth years, adults who were bullied often experience hypervigilance, constantly scanning a room for who might dislike them. Emotional flooding, feeling a small setback as an overwhelming catastrophe because the prefrontal cortex cannot regulate the amygdala's alarm. Rejection sensitivity, a deep, physical pain in response to even mild social exclusion. While the brain is plastic and can heal through therapy, like CBT or EMDR, and supportive environments, the stunting mentioned is a real biological phenomenon caused by the brain's attempt to adapt to a hostile environment. Would you like to explore specific types of therapy or exercises that help rewire these mood regulation pathways in adulthood? Comment, like, and share this video.